o'clock. I don't know what happened. All right. I'm going to do this pretty quick. I just wanted to show some dacite hammerstone work. This is a soft hammerstone that I picked up on the flow where this dacite outcropped. Let me move over a little bit. This is a nice soft stone that works really well, sort of using it to braid too, to catch acute edges. If you use small hammerstones on this and strike into the leg, it doesn't work as well than just holding the piece up and using the brushing and able to catch the edges because of this grabbiness of this soft hammerstone. I'll probably get a couple small spalls off of this, and then I'll just make one point out of this. So once again, not putting on my leg and hitting it, that's going to cause the force to go into the leg and take a kind of a soupy flake. So I'll hold the piece up, address an angle to catch, and then the force can be pretty variable. I don't want to hit too far in, but just support the bottom and let the, good afternoon, let the flake come off the bottom. I tried to schedule this for 30 minutes to give people a heads up, and I didn't know why it wasn't working. So sometimes when people find hammerstones, they think of a hammerstone as being round and something you can fit in your hand. But a lot of hammerstones, and people attribute it to being like just hammers or, you know, utility tools. The striking faces are going to be more sort of in the middle of the stone. So I see a little seam right there. But this is brittle enough I to be able to get through it. That's a nice whole intact flake. Let's switch to this really quick and show how you can use a hammerstone to trim. There's a little crack right there, but that ought to trim out. This small grabby hammerstone works pretty well to just turn these edges down. We're going to bevel those, and then we're going to work on the bulb. Check to make sure that there's not a crack. If you hit too hard sometimes or it forces in, you can get a couple fractures that happen off the platform. So after you knock off of a spall, make sure that there's not any damage. This outside of this dacite tumbled a little bit, so there is a little bit of external fractures on the edge. What we can do is just take the hammerstone. This is sort of sloppy. Now you can just sort of turn the edges down. It's effectively braiding too, right? So after I turn it down, and I can just sort of brush and grab and take a little bit longer flakes too. The more organized and broad your platforms can be to turn those edges to rapidly thin these pieces, just cut your losses and lose some width early. If you do a whole lot of back and forth and you end up with a sinewy edge, then you have to address specific platforms. So at this stage, you can just sort of turn it down. I'm going to take off my glove at this point. Let me see if the chat, let's see. Top chat, live chat, all messages are visible. Okay, good. All right. Let me scoot up a little bit. There's a lot of glare here, so hopefully you can see this pretty well. I won't be able to see the chat very well, but hopefully this lighting is excellent for you guys. Now, this is square, so I'm gonna try to just come in on a corner. I'll probably get some of it from here, and I'll probably get some of it from here. So now, don't need to do a whole lot of braiding. Hey guys, lighting is good, excellent. So, I like to pinch. See a lot of guys that back off on the edge and then strike. What you have to do then is build a platform strong enough to where the flake is not going to collapse into the support. You really can give yourself an advantage if you just do a little pinching on the edge. You can see the bed facet of the hammerstone in the contact area. By splitting the difference, when hammerstones can be battery, you get that broader contact in, and you can peel off a nice smooth flake. Either pinch in Let's get another one here in the corner. I can get in there and just get a little, yep, there. A little one. Okay, I lowered that a little bit. Let's come up here and actually we can just get one right here in the corner. There. There's a teeny bit of a seam in there, but not bad. Now, I give it a little harder vibrator. We can get one here, and then we'll work down. And there's one. Little brush back. Pinch. There's that rest of that little seam. Now we thin the bottom off. That preserves our length. Now we're getting straighter. This edge is steeply ground down. That's probably almost too steep at this point. So we'll make that a little bit leaner, or we can just come across. But what's nice about these Hammerstones is that you're really just feeling, oh, I'm still there, okay. You get a sense of, a lot of people think with Hammerstones you need to grind, so they just do a whole lot of this and then they're looking for places to hit. But being able to get the feedback with these softer Hammerstones on this glass is really important. So a little pinch, it's actually a little ridge, come back and get a little one down there. You just do a brush, 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 pinch. Start up here, little flake, next door, see that? Move down, little spacer, and one here. See that? Maybe adjust that angle here, just a little bit back. This is a little too steep. That'll catch there. Get rid of this steepness. Okay. Oh man, I knocked my Hammerstone off. Switch to this side. If you guys can see this. That was gonna go anyhow. I must have hit it on some tougher chert earlier. It's a brush to grab. I really don't want to thin down too much. I want to keep a little body on this. Let me see. Let me move over a little bit so I can see. Hey, Marty. Let me scoot back so I can read this. I didn't know how glary this was going to be. Sorry about that. Oh, there it is. I know, right? No, I went and picked up a bunch of dacite, so it's been nice to just work easy stuff and just do some generic, I don't want to say generic flint knapping, but I still can't even hardly see this. But we'll make this pretty quick. I need to scoot back more. Maybe turn my brightness up or something. Okay, I ought to be able to see this better. Let my eyes adjust a little bit to this light. So where were we? Okay. Sort of just doing the same thing. Pinch, pinch, grab, catch. Hammerstone are an advantage on the small glass compared to antler because you can control a shattering edge and just dull to where you know that the tool's going to hold together. And you can take thin flakes that have nice terminations. An antler billet, you have a higher risk to break, especially if you have non-specific, heavier ground, sinuous edges where you have to, do a lot of thought towards each platform. This is just a quick kind of way to get your preform started. Where I'm heavy enough, I don't need to pinch. Now that my edges are getting fairly organized. I love that hammerstone sound. Okay, this side is looking pretty nice. I'm gonna just square up this bottom a little bit, pinch, and just take this down. Still a teeny bit of that crack on the corner. Okay. Now here's the point where hold it firm and careful brushing. Strengthen our edge and look for areas where we need to maybe take another flake before we turn it over. This is great hammerstone practice, is this glass. Because it's such a common and available, tool stone. Where was I? In here. It gives you feedback. You don't need a lot of strength. You just get your angles right. And it's pretty inexpensive. So you guys wanting to get into hammerstone work, first thing is take all your silica carbide abraders and hide them to where you can't pick them up and use them. Because a lot of people that use hammerstones, they default to their copper knapping and they do a lot of this, and then you're eating up the edge too much. Hey, Zach. Yeah, this is, I don't know a whole lot about Western technologies, but I'm going to start working on the Great Basin stuff and try to do a little bit more glass work. I want to get good at making haskets. And there's a cool size. Oh, I know. There's some awesome styles. And the variation and the signatures on this stuff is really interesting. A lot of the haskets, like they're like agate basins. They're making large lancelet points. They're snapping them on both ends and then they're refurbishing them. Sometimes it seems like there's some aggressive hammerstone work that they're just fixing in the field that's different, and they're keeping the bodies on them, and the nature of the flaking is really cool, whether it be, buffalo horn punching or hammerstone work, and there's some unexplored hard hammer punch techniques, I think, that might be a candidate of some of this stuff. So, keeping our body and straightening it out. See, I just overstruck that. Just sort of brought me to center. Cleaned it out. mentioned that the East Lansdowne's point for a vertical punch. Well, when I did the Eastern Lancelet video like years ago, D.C. Waldorf mentioned in his book Story in the Stone that the Eastern Parallel Lancelets, and there's a lot of late Paleo Lancelet forms where they're going through the deltas, right? They're working back and forth with those scoopy flakes, and sometimes they're cleaned up and those deltas are being removed, and it hides the fact of the earlier technology with those bold, blocked punch work. Now, I used to attribute a lot of that to vertical punching because I wasn't doing a whole lot of horizontal punching. So it's the support and the platforms and the working back and forth that causes that look. And the support is key, right? Not a lot of like inward force and leather support. They're blocking them to create control those terminations. But I think probably now that some of that can be explained with a horizontal punch and different anviling than with a vertical punch. Okay, so I've got a nice body on that to finish. This is the stage where I'd probably switch to a punch. Maybe let's grab our piece again and knock another flake off. Hey, from Illinois. What part of Illinois? Don't tell everyone I was born in Chicago. Nice. Oh, my glove. I don't like to wear a glove, but for spalling this stuff, it's a good idea. Southern Illinois. Right near St. Louis. Oh, you got some good flint down there, David. Ratset says hi. Tell Craig I said hey. He looks more like Don Quixote every day. Craig has a story about when his obsession with flint knapping, and he had a ping pong table in his basement, and he's just got into flint knapping. And then his girlfriend said, "Do you realize how many arrowheads you have down there?" He's like, "No," and she counted them. I was like, "You have 872 arrowheads on your ping pong table." I thought that was hilarious. I might be exaggerating. I mean, under-exaggerating. There's some ash pockets in here. Yeah, there's a lot of good flint in Southern Illinois. You've got the Cobden, you've got the Kalen, you can hop over and get the Burlington. You've got some, not too far from a lot of sources. So once again, hold it flat. I nap fast. Some of it's out of necessity, and I don't encourage people to try to emulate how fast. I'll focus on projects to where I'd get heavy into Hammerstones, and I'd just switch a tool and get heavy into it, and I try to find the ranges, and then I was selling a lot of points, so I ended up getting kind of crafty at getting pretty quick at some of this stuff, and it's one reason I encourage people to watch other YouTube videos, is to watch people slow down and explain stuff better. I get in my own way sometimes when I try to slow down too much. Okay, there's another decent one. Thinking too about, instead of making a biface, taking rocks apart and trying to just get usable spalls, especially on this glass with the softer Hammerstones, you get good and intact flakes. And if you think about this as a core and not a preform, it makes it enjoyable. It makes flake removals deliberate and more predictable. And then also, you end up getting a lot more points out of I'm fairly convinced that I can do better than slabbing stuff. Maybe not for maximum length, but for, number of points and enjoyment for sure. So, let's get another spall. This one is going to get curvy if I hit that. I don't have a lot of thickness. Maybe we'll try to get one. I'm going to take this area and make it a little steeper. Let's using my harder stone. This is not going to be this flake is going to break here because of the surface, but I'm just going to do some brush. And that's straight enough to do something. When flakes curve on this brittle material, they're going to probably want to break at the point of it's encountering mass, right? The flake is following a ridge, and as the flake is expanding and go through a thicker area, you can mitigate some of that with support, but it's going to want to usually break where it's going to slightly slow down, hence the rise in the fracture. And it's just how it goes. Let's grind this down. Let's get one on this ridge. I think I missed that question. Let me see. All messages. Obsidian alkyl points. Yeah, I'll make some. The key on those, I think, is bone, not antler, right? Some of the finished edge work and the notching. It really is an advantage to narrow bones over antler. And a chisel-shaped tip. Well, there's a bunch of ash in there. I don't know why my glove is on still. How long have we been going? 22 minutes already? Maybe switch Hammerstones. Well, actually, because of this ash in here and this slowing down, let's work this piece. It's greetings from Spain. Are you from northern Spain, where that Basque country, or are you down in where they speak normal Spanish? Just kidding. There's some good flint. I went to Madrid, and a lot of that looks like Texas chert. Hold on. Let's see. So, once again, natural platform, hold it flat. Sort of flatten this to this little ridge. See how I hit that flat and I didn't pinch it? You pinch it, it's going to want to kick or roll off. So, I don't know what I can do with that. Maybe something. Okay, so this is a natural platform, and hold this slow, flat, and drop. And it's flattening that down. Probably something in there. If anyone goes and get this dacite, check around for these hammerstones. Sometimes you can get a material source and have a hard time finding hammerstones, and sometimes you just get lucky and they're all over the place. I'm going to have to hit this hard. The hammerstone's going to dent and hit that square area. But if I think I address it right, it'll peel off fine. So that's flattening it down. We've got enough of an angle. This flake is going to get a little scoopy, but I think I've got enough to... There. There's a little point there. And I'm going to turn this down and then come back across and get this square edge. Just back off my angle, lose a little corner. Feel where I'm going to brush. Ooh, I didn't see that little seam in there. There's a little crack. And that'll chip out. And I work on the end like this, I like to hold it down. Oops. Holding it down like this, and a little brush. Could have cut a little bit more of that. There. Get rid of our seam. Okay. Now to get rid of this thick area on the tip. And our edge is pretty high to this face. So I'm just gonna have to turn this down and try to get a flake down this ridge. So it's gonna be a little bit of a, I'll have to just get one started here and then turn it over. Let's use our little, this little hammerstone. We won't lose too much length. We'll have to lose just a little bit to turn that corner down. Sometimes you just have to chop that angle in. You'll end up with a little bit of a mess right off the edge, but not bad. I wish this hammerstone was half this size now. There. That helped there. Now, this is square here. We have a nice surface. Let's grind this down and try to split that difference here. I'm gonna brush. That really helps because we can probably get another one and then we'll have an easier time dressing that square edge. And this is the area where I want to be somewhat mindful about keeping wet, so. I tried to schedule this ahead of time, like I said, and it was, it didn't go. I have to figure out how to do that. Okay. Let's get this ridge here. I'm trying to slow down a little bit. We won't make this go too much longer. One thing about obsidian when you finish is that I've noticed that because the flakes like to break, you really have to, and platforms are hard to facet because getting the right angle on later stage platforms is super hard to do because a lot of times the platforms will abrade off. So the platforms get fairly square, which means they have to be positioned right? They can't be too high. And then you're driving with the soft hammers in a lot more than you would. So that did, once again, half more. I can make a nice little point. Okay, well, is there any questions before I go? This could turn, this will take a long time to upload. I thought I'd just show you the soft hammerstone, some basics of support for this stuff, and a little bit of different support for the soft hammerstones. If I missed your question, I apologize. How was our trip? Oh man, it was so smoky, but it was a good trip. Hey guys. Oh, the Hammerstone? I don't know, Derek, what kind of Hammerstone it is. It outcropped at the flow. Is it like a soft dolomite? A degraded, I don't know, it's a weathered degraded stone, but it smooths up nice and it's grabby. But I need to find out what it is. You're welcome for the, hey, Kentucky. From Madrid. You've got some flint in Madrid. It's not awesome, but you can skin it and get some good stuff. I had a near mugging napping in Retiro Park in Madrid one night. All my flint napping tools. La próxima estación, Atocha Renfre. For running, I'll keep hunting for flint. Do you have any tips for running long flakes with antler tines? Pressure, what do you mean, David? Do you mean pressure or do you mean punch work? For running long flakes with pressure, it helps to start, if you're just getting into it, shear your edge and work off lower platforms. Don't use an abrader. Use the antler tine, scuff it up first. A recently dropped shed will be hard on the outside. It'll want to flake. So scuff it up, get it started, work into the antler a little bit, and then brush till you can grab and press in. Yeah, some of that Utah obsidian. I went to Utah and got some rock, but I didn't get any obsidian. That would be cool to do. I think I got it all. If you want to use antler tines to do punch work, I think that was David, then you can drill them and put them on a stick. And see my other videos. And then you can just support and do some punch work. And that's a way to really get beyond what you could do with pressure in the earlier stages. Yeah, Utah has some cool sandstone hammerstones. Utah's got a lot of neat rock. There's some quartzites and there's some jaspers, and the difference between some of the jaspers and agates kind of blend together. Some of that agate is super tough. So I think, next time I'm gonna figure out how to plan ahead. And then the next time I do a live, maybe I'll try to do one in a few days. There's 3 videos I need to do. One, Scott wanted the Scott's Bluff, so I need to do that. Somebody else wanted the reverse platform thing, so I can show that with the pressure. It's basically like working off the high deltas, not low, and then back and forth where you get, you know, a scoopy kind of flake. And then some also just finishing points with hammerstones. Some simple points with that. So anyhow, I'm gonna let this go because we're already at 33 minutes, and I'll finish up some things. Any last questions? Yeah, Wild Horse Obsidian, yeah. That area, when you look to get materials on a map, because of the topography, obviously, I mean, you can be close to one source and then you have to drive, you know, an hour to get back on the other side. But I'd like to explore that area more. It's awesome country. Okay, guys, well, I'll be preemptive next time about what questions you can think about. I'll try to have a project and I'll schedule a live so that we can get on board and try to be helpful. So these soft hammerstones, a lot of people overlook. They see hammerstone napping and they see somebody like me using hammerstone like this. They think, well, I got to get hammerstone like that. Well, no, for early work, you can use these broad faces in the middle, soft. Let the fracture go under your hand, and you'll kind of learn how not to grab it and bend it and deliver the right speeds on this. This is great feedback and great practice for learning hammerstone napping. And it's a pain in the butt when you learn, but after you do, and you believe me or not believe me, but it is the superior tool for getting the most usable material. Even copper on the edges, you'll get more broken flakes, and you can't address those planes as high as you can with the hammerstone to get those nice medium thick spalls. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say goodbye, but thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day. And so long.